When the snap, crackle and pop is no longer coming from your breakfast cereal, it might be time to think about how menopause might be affecting your joints. So welcome to Menopause Monday. My name's Kate Hartley, and every Monday I share a video around natural ways to manage menopause symptoms more effectively. So make sure to click the subscribe button, and then you won't miss any future episodes if you're interested in natural remedies for the menopause. So recently I did a talk in a corporate setting for ladies who are sort of midlifers. Some of them are menopausal, and a lot of them were struggling with joint pain. It's something that I also struggle with, so I thought I'd cover it in today's video. I take certain measures daily to improve my joint health, but there is absolutely no doubt that when I get out of bed, I walk like a robot for the first few minutes. My ankles, my toes, my knees, my hips, they all feel like they're fused and they're sore, and it takes me quite a few minutes to get the movement back. So also in bed, if I roll over, sometimes I can feel it in my hips and my knees. It gets me in my neck, where I broke that a few years ago. One thing's for sure is when I'm not doing what I'm going to share with you today, my symptoms are a whole lot worse. So we know that as our estrogen levels fall during menopause, it can have a negative impact on how well our bodies stay hydrated, and also it increases inflammation in the body. The primary female hormone, estrogen, helps to protect our joints. It normally reduces inflammation, helps us with hydration. But of course, through the menopause, inflammation increases because of the falling estrogen. Hydration is not so good because of the falling estrogen, and that has a double whammy negative effect on our joint health, as it were. Often joint pain for menopause is worse in the morning. It improves during the course of the day as it goes on, and if you've been sat down for a long time, you might find that you're stiff again for the next few minutes. And it can happen in any of your joints. It can happen in your toes, your fingers, your neck, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your ankles, anywhere, and different people experience it differently. The pain's commonly described as sort of stiffness, swelling. It can be like a burning pain. And from what I've heard, different people experience it in different ways. And there's a number of causes that can cause us to have joint pain during the menopause. Those are hormonal changes, dehydration, stress, weight gain, poor sleep, increase in sensitivity to pain, poor posture, and I'm going to cover all of those in this video. So first off, with hormonal changes, falling estrogen levels are thought to be the main cause of joint pain during the menopause. And as we go through the menopause, estrogen is one of those hormones that drops off quite significantly, and it plays an important role in keeping our body hydrated. And that means that we're at greater risk of dehydration, which can negatively impact the lubrication of our joints, including the tendons, which connect muscle to bone, and the ligaments, which connect bone to bone. Cartilage, which is the smooth surface which we find in our joints, is made up of about 80% of water. And water is also a natural part of synovial fluid, which is like the gel-like lubricating substance found within our joints. On top of that, if you're getting night sweats and hot flushes regularly, you're likely to be more dehydrated. So make sure you're getting enough water during the day in order to keep your joint health optimal. To find out how much to drink, divide your weight in pounds by 2, and that is the amount of fluid ounces that you should be drinking. So for instance, if you weigh 140 pounds, you should be drinking a minimum of 70 fluid ounces a day. Dehydration can also make it more difficult for our kidneys to get rid of excess uric acid, and that is what's termed as gout. It's those tiny little crystals that can form in our joints and make our joint pain even worse. It's a type of arthritis, and it can be really, really painful, normally at the extremities, so fingers and toes. And stress also affects our joints. So high stress releases higher amounts of cortisol, and too much cortisol can have an inflammatory effect on the body, which can make our joint pain worse. And when we're stressed, we tend to hunch, and we tend to frown, and we tend to clench our jaw. Is that just me? And that can have a negative impact on the body as well. Excess weight will also put additional pressure on your joints. So I think it was according to arthritis.org, they reckon for every pound of excess weight, it exerts about 4 pounds of extra pressure on your knees. And weight gain is a problem that we see very often in menopause. Falling estrogen levels can cause a problem with carbohydrate metabolism in some women, making it easier to put weight on. Stress and lack of activity through the menopause can also lead to weight gain. But losing just a few pounds can help take the pressure off your joints and improve mobility and relieve the pain. Carbohydrates aren't actually the only food that can be a problem through menopause too. There's quite a few foods that can trigger joint pain. If you can replace things like white bread and white flour with whole grain foods like whole grain flour, or maybe even ideally better use veggies. So instead of having rice, have cauliflower rice. Instead of having pasta, consider spaghetti squash or zoodles or courgettes. Sugary foods and high salt foods are going to make the joint pain worse, as well as things like caffeine, carbonated drinks, dairy. They can all aggravate your joints. And also a lot of us eat vegetables from the nightshade family, which can also exacerbate joint pain. Nightshade veggies are things like white potatoes, tomatoes, bell peppers, paprika, aubergines or eggplants, cayenne pepper. And sometimes just cutting out those trigger foods can make a massive difference to your joint pain. And you want to be focusing on foods that are anti-inflammatories, like blueberries, turmeric, ginger, garlic, other herbs and spices that are known to be anti-inflammatory in the body, dark chocolate, nuts, fatty fish, other foods rich in omega-3s, are also glorious leafy greens are all going to help us. And most of us tend to lead sedentary lives, which makes our posture really suffer. And we're not born to sit, we're born to move. Your heart and vascular system will work more effectively if you're moving more often. Your bowel will work more effectively. Sitting for long periods can lead to a weakening and wasting away of the thigh muscles, of the glute muscles. And these muscles are really important for stabilization, for good posture, and help to prevent you falling over and fracturing your hip and doing awful things that do happen to us. It also, when we're moving, it also helps our body digest sugars and fats more effectively. So if you're spending a long time sitting down, you're going to be wasting those major muscles away. You're not going to be digesting the food as well as it could do. You're going to be risking more constipation. Your hip flexors will shorten, which can lead to the bad tilting of the pelvis. It can cause long-term issues with your back. It can cause degeneration of the spine. Make sure you've got an ergonomic workstation or an ergonomic chair. I mean, these long-term sitting has such a negative impact on our joints and our posture in general. Slouching puts extra pressure on your joints. It limits the amount of sort of range of motion that we can take. It's just, you really want to make sure you've got good posture and that you're moving probably far more often than you do. Also, when we've got pain in certain areas, we automatically start to move in a different way, which can then put additional pressure on other areas of our body. And we end up in such a complicated issue of bad joints and bad muscles and bad stiffness and things like that. So look at your posture, change it if you need to, and move more often. Also, sleep during the menopause is notoriously hard to get good quality sleep. But sleep deprivation also increases our sense of pain perception. And I think it was the University of California that found that the sleep deprivation actually changes the circuitry in our brain. That means that we feel pain more intensely than if we've had a good night's sleep. Also, magnesium is a mineral that's used to calm us down. It's a really essential nutrient, and that can also cause digestive weakness and affect how we absorb nutrients into the body that are going to help our joints. So, things like an Epsom salt bath are going to be really relaxing because that contains magnesium, but it's also needed to regulate the flow of calcium in and out of the bones, which is really important as we go through menopause to reduce the risk of osteoporosis and osteopenia. And actually, ladies who've got osteoporosis have got significantly lower amounts of magnesium in their bodies. So make sure that you're eating foods rich in magnesium. We don't make magnesium ourselves, so we have to ingest it. We get it mainly from things like dark leafy greens, seeds, nuts, squash, broccoli, dairy, meat, whole grains, dark chocolate, bananas, and coffee. Quinoa, mackerel, and cashew have the highest amount per serving. And if you're getting a magnesium supplement, use magnesium citrate rather than magnesium oxide because it's better absorbed by the body. As for other supplements you might want to consider for joint pain, calcium is particularly important, as I mentioned earlier. If we've got low levels of calcium, it can affect our bone density, and that can lead to things like osteoporosis and osteopenia. It can also make the bones more prone to breakages. It's also worth noting that magnesium is needed for calcium to be absorbed effectively by the body. So if you're low in magnesium, calcium will find it more difficult to get into the bones. Vitamin D deficiency can also lead to weakness in the bones as well as joint pain. Vitamin D maintains calcium and phosphorus levels, and so that's how it helps to keep the bones healthy, which is why it's so important to get exposure to sunlight regularly to keep your vitamin D levels up. When sunlight hits the skin, it manufactures the vitamin D that we need on a daily basis. And if you don't get outdoors very often, try and prioritize getting outside. But you might live in a climate where it's hard to come by sunshine as well. So you might need to eat foods rich in vitamin D and possibly even take vitamin D supplements. So there's lots of things that we can do naturally to help supplement our, reduce our joint pain and supplement our health to alleviate the symptoms that we might be getting with the menopause. First and foremost, drink loads of water. Before going to bed, make sure maybe an hour before going to bed, have a good glass of water. And if you do have to get up during the night to take a pee, maybe have a small glass of water after that as well. Make sure to exercise regularly. If you're feeling too achy and sore to exercise properly right now, just make sure you do consistent walking regularly. Gentle walking is a great starting point if you've got sore joints, and swimming's excellent as well. But then you want to have the goal to be working up to do a more sort of focused exercise regimen that is going to take you through into, through your menopausal years and latter years, feeling really strong and healthy. Make sure to stretch regularly. That's really important for our joint health. If yoga's too much, just do gentle stretching. The key is to move. Not moving is only going to make your matters worse. You're just going to continue to seize up. So start small and aim to build up to sort of 4 to 6 times a week. If you need help getting started, do message me, because it's something that I specialize in. Also eat foods that are going to reduce inflammation. So, like the foods that I've mentioned today, cut out the sugars, the refined sugars, the processed food, and eat. If it grows on a bush, if it swims in the sea, if you can pick it out of the ground, it's probably safe to eat. Quit smoking. If you're smoking, just quit it on every single level. But, joint pain is really going to struggle with if you continue to smoke. My recipe for managing joint pain is keep well hydrated. I prioritize good quality sleep. I exercise regularly, I stretch regularly, I eat anti-inflammatory foods, I have a good selection of omega-3 fatty acids and healthy fats. I have a mix of adaptogen herbs which I take daily. Those help me cope with stress in general. They help to balance cortisol, but they're also really good for joint pain. So the ones I take are reishi, maca, ashwagandha, cordyceps, astralagus, schisandra. So another one, I call it my daily menopause mix. It's absolutely fantastic. Get outside daily into the UV, even if it's not sunny, to make sure I'm boosting my vitamin D levels. It doesn't take much to improve our symptoms during the menopause, but it does take consistent action. It's easy to get used to living with pain or the symptoms which are bothersome, but every single symptom of menopause can be helped by making a few healthy lifestyle changes. And the great news is that they don't come with negative side effects like pills and other treatments might do. What I share in my videos, they get to the root cause of the problem rather than dealing with the symptom. And we can really treat the causes for long-term health benefits. So, it's not just getting us through the menopause now, it's getting us beyond the menopause and into healthy latter or middle and latter age. I know you might be stuck there thinking, but it's bloody awful. It is bloody awful, but I know that until I started doing the things that I do regularly, my symptoms were a lot worse. Once I started making the changes that I make now, I can affect my like my hot flushes. Normally I have one when I wake up in the morning. Naturally, we have a spike of cortisol, and a lot of our menopausal symptoms are related to cortisol, one of our stress hormones. But I can get it down to about 2 hot flushes a day when I'm on point with my nutrition. And that's still including treats, but it's just cutting out, you know, when maybe I go teetotal, and when I drink alcohol, I'm more prone to have a tendency to eat or want to eat sweeter things. When I cut out booze, it's just like, it's almost like ninja phase. It's brilliant. All of my cravings go, but I know, you know, like at the moment, I'm enjoying a couple of glasses of wine in the evening. And as a result, I'm getting more hot flushes, particularly during the night. And when I get on board with my nutrition well, my symptoms, they really do reduce 100%. My adaptogen herbs, I take them religiously every single day. I have mine in a blend, which comes in a shake, which also is really good for my gut health. It has healthy pre and probiotics and digestive enzymes as well. And I literally swear by that. It is my ninja magic formula. But, you know, even if you don't take adaptogen herbs, there is so much that you can do to help yourself through the menopause. So yes, it does take making a small effort. It does take maybe changing how you view your symptoms, rather than thinking, well, I'll just take some more painkillers, or, you know, I'll take that pill that the doctor suggested. Before doing that, try these natural remedies, because they don't have any side effects, and they're going to maintain your health in the long run. And every single symptom of menopause is pretty much dealt with the way I've explained in this video for joint health. So yes, it's going to improve your joint health, but it's also going to improve your health on every level. Stay well hydrated, move more often, eat anti-inflammatory foods, cut down processed foods and refined sugars, prioritize sleep, manage stress more effectively, get outside into nature. It's going to affect you. It's going to positively affect you on every single level. So I'd love to hear if you've got remedies that you've used that have helped you to alleviate joint pain. Please, please, please leave a comment below. So it'd be really interesting to hear what's worked for you. And if you've got a comment, or you want me to deal with anything specific, a specific topic related to menopause or midlife health, send me a message and I'll make sure to add it to the list of my Menopause Mondays. But thanks for your time again, and yeah, I'll catch you soon.